What I hadn't quite realised was when you were showing us your rubber band tracks.
That's what they call them, rubber band tracks.
What I hadn't realised was what you'd got in that box.
I bought that years ago at a model show.
Do you want to open the box so we can see it?
All right.
Just because you know what's in it.
Let me,
No, you don't need to get it all out, just to give it
well,
flavour.
just to show you the complexities of it all.
Yeah. So you bought this.
I bought that years and years ago to put on a Sherman because there was some other track I might have put on. I found it hard going. And I didn't quite realise just how complex this is. This track, each single link, has got 9 pieces. But I thought, because a lot of tank crews, quite reasonably, were quite frightened of the risk of being hit from, well, Tiger tanks. There was a lot of anxiety about Tiger tanks because they had 88mm guns, which are very high velocity and rather effective. So what they used to do was trying to add armour. Sometimes they put sandbags on the front. The American Army sometimes put a whole layer of cement on the front to act as extra armour, which General Patton didn't like at all because it added to the weight and made drive systems break down more often. But what a lot of crews did was to add spare track. And you can see on this picture, this is a picture taken from a photo. There's a whole load of spare track laid down the middle of the, what is it? The
Bonnet?
The bonnet, if you like.
It's not.
And I think it's the transmission cover. So I thought what I'd do is I could manage to make a short length of this track to go there. It needs a few more links to go in, but that'll add to some of the stowage I put on the front to make it look busy and used.
So that's what you're doing.
About 2 or 3 more links.
That's what you're doing now, and then you're going to have to paint it.
I have to paint the track, yeah, but it'll be fresh track, so it won't be weathered as the one I'm going to put round the main
Right.
wheels. And it was a sort of spaced armour, so I think post-war they said it actually wasn't that effective, that an 88mm anti-tank round would go straight through it and into the tank, but it was probably effective against German Panzerfaust and other infantry shoulder-launched anti-tank weapons. And I can cope with doing another couple of links, I think.
Okay, and where will you put those?
Well, I'm adding on to the bottom.
Oh, you just mean 2
it
pieces?
hangs a bit lower.
I was thinking
2 pieces. That's 18 pieces.
it's mad.
Those are the main treads. You add those on the middle of those 2 ones with holes because that gives it grip. Then you put, before you put the 2, that represents 2 links. You put these connecting rods, I think they got them in there before you put the tops on, so you end up with 2. You connect them together using these at each end. So each double link would be connected by those. You then use a couple more of that to attach it to this. When you finish doing all that, these odd-looking things are actually just plastic holders to hold that bit on the end. Because on the end of each link, there is a microscopic bolt and nut. And you add that using these as holders and then cut off the holder. You will barely be able to see those, but I thought, well, what the hell,
Oh, God, I'm exhausted now.
I'm exhausted. I'll just take a break, I think.
Right. Okay.
But it's fun, and I'm not quite sure what the next stage is. I want to get the tracks on, and then I can probably add a bit more weathering so that it blends it in with the suspension a bit. Because so far I've weathered them separately, but weathering them together will help. Then stick the crew in. That'll take a bit of doing because I've got to get them supported and glued into place, but securely in the right positions because they're quite well articulated, those figures. So I want to sort of get that worked out properly. The two in the turret and the driver's head out. Sort of weather it all together a bit. Put the cannon into the front of the turret. Wrap the barrel with a piece of. Actually,
Netting.
in the photograph, there's a piece of camouflage I think wrapped around the barrel. It's not showing on the painting.
camo netting?
No, it doesn't. It's not showing it. It's showing a bare barrel, because apparently, what the Germans recognised that the Sherman Firefly was a considerable risk to their tanks. It was a good gun. It was very effective. Less accurate than the 88mm, but had a very high muzzle velocity, which is what you need. So they used to target, when they could spot fireflies from the wrong long barrel, they would target those first. So there were various ways of camouflaging the barrel. Some of the more interesting ones are counter shading and painting it to look like a much shorter 75mm barrel, which is a much less effective gun. But
I'm sorry, I'm falling asleep now.
you keep doing
Going
that.
over my head.
You come here doing these vlogs, and when I start telling you about anything, you fall asleep.
Yeah, and she's telling you. Okay,
I don't know
that's
why.
enough now.
I don't know why you come and start in the first place. I could have finished this by now.
Okay, me and the cat are bored with this now,
All right, you and the cat can go away.
and we'll come back another time when you've got a bit further on. But you just need to hurry up.
I just won't tell you about it because then I'll get further.
I come and find you. Don't worry.